Morning.
Yeah, so let's wait for
Hi,
more people.
morning.
Morning. Let's wait for more people to
Morning.
log in and then we'll start today's session.
Let me see who's here. Cynthia, how did you find the research, the African research? Cynthia, are you there? Hi, I think I can hear you.
I found it quite intriguing. It's not something I've done research on before. So me going down that road to literally just look at
Sorry, can you start again?
how
I'm just hearing you now. I couldn't hear you before.
I'm saying it was
Uh-huh.
quite intriguing. Yes, I have not
Awesome.
gone down that road before, like doing the research on how my business relates to, colonial time, or if my community, for example, would bring such things as socioeconomic activities. And what I found out was actually quite enlightening.
Uh-huh. Do you
Yeah,
share?
yeah. So, like in my regard, I mentioned earlier that I use the bid basket, then add value to them. So what I realized.
Sorry, say that again. It's really hard to hear you. I don't know why. Rose, can you hear better?
Not so well.
Hear me now?
It sounds a bit better. Just continue speaking, then we'll let you know if it's not too clear.
I found out that women in my community were using weaving and basketry as a socioeconomic activity. Like the social aspect of it was just kind of chilling together as they're weaving and telling stories and singing and whatnot. And then the economical part was where they'd get to sort of do barter trade with them from the market perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which community is this? Which tribe is this?
Meru.
Ah, okay.
Meru, and they're still doing it, part of the Raka, because that's where I still get the reeded baskets.
Right.
So they still do like
Right.
the communal sort of weaving together still.
Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I know that them Swahili coastal people, like I went to this village that's quite preserved, like not much has changed. And the men go out to fish in the day and the women remain and they just weave the makuti mat. And the mats are like, they make their houses out of them, the floors, so many things are made out of those makuti mats. And then in the process, they give wisdom. The older women give the younger women wisdom. Sounds similar, right?
Yeah. Very, very
Yeah.
close to what I learned, yes.
Did you research beyond Kenya in terms of other African tribes?
Yes, I did a broad sort of research. And what I found out is there are other communities as well outside Kenya, even like, was it in Asia, if I'm not wrong, that they also do the sort of weaving as a communal thing. And it's still done in most parts of the world. So.
Right. And everybody who makes the basket gets an economic benefit? Or how would it work?
From currently, yes. From my community, like the research was doing currently, yes. But before, it was not so much about the economic benefit. They were just like weaving. They needed basket for, something. What is it called? Harvesting coffee. So yeah, so they used to make them for their own self-benefit, not like for selling and getting money, stuff like that. And most
Did you
of
find
it
out
also
what
was
they?
passing down the skill to the younger girls as well.
So what did they use it for mostly? What did they make?
Okay, they make different forms of, say, there's the normal baskets, and then they also make like sling bags. They also make like briefcases, like whatever they needed to make to fill the need is what they make still up to date. So there's a variety of so many things, even like what is it called? They're reeded mats. They're reeded mats. Yeah. They also
For
make
sitting
those,
on.
or yes, or the very big baskets like for putting laundry, you know. So all these things is when need arises,
So a
then
lot
they
of
can
storage.
take the form. Yes, they take the form that of the need they have.
So storage and carrying things.
Yes, mostly.
That's really interesting. And I wonder, did they get all the materials from as close as possible, or like did they were the materials available to them? Are they using materials that are in their environment?
Yes, yes. The reeds are readily available
In nature, just around.
and just pick them, and then dry them and use them.
That's awesome. Awesome. That's really fantastic. So today we just want to, up until 2 p.m. is to continue with that research. So maybe expand more tribes, think about, maybe the different types of objects that they used it for, or, categories, process. Maybe you could learn something about process, drying or whatever. For example, in Mombasa, the palm leaves are quite different because they have oil in them. So they're waterproof mats as opposed to the like papyrus and stuff like that we'll find around Nairobi. So that's kind of interesting as well. So we'll continue with the research and then come back and share at 2 p.m. Does anyone else want to share? Yeah, well done. It's pretty good. And it's good that it's interesting that you hadn't done this before. It's good that you're getting inspired by our own African philosophies. Does anyone else want to share?
Can I share?
Yes, please go ahead. Is that Gloria?
Yes, yes.
Oh, awesome.
Okay. So for my research, I went into the hair community since we are in the hair business. So from what my research has shown, it has shown that hair, even in the pre-colonial period, was really important. Hair symbolizes people did their hair differently just to symbolize from their identity. So even royalty had a certain way of doing their hair compared to the non-royals. Even hair would be a sign of fertility. If you had long, healthy hair, it was believed that you will give birth to healthy and so many children. Even Africans believed that hair helped them communicate with their gods. So hair was really important in the pre-colonial period. It went to a point that even in some Kenyan, I remember we read this book in high school. It was Revenge the Source, and the Western culture, the Western tribes used to shave their hair in times of mourning. When they're mourning, they shave their hair. So it was very, very important. Even as I did my research, I also realized even during the colonial period, the Mau Mau freedom fighters also were famously known for their dreadlocks. This hairstyle was used as a survival tactic in the forest against lice and to intimidate the British troops. We've also, my research also took me to the Maasai community, and even to this day, men wear locks, when they reach a certain stage, for example, when you become a warrior, you start wearing your hair. Yeah. So hair, even from before, to now, hair has really grown. We've seen how it has evolved. So right now, there are so many hairstyles that are being worn. But right now, I don't know if it has so much meaning. But yeah, that's me.
Look, at the Maasai culture, I've always wondered, is it the red soil that they put in their hair?
Maybe
that, like, I would
but
love to know whether it has nutritional value, whether it helps the dreads grow longer. It seems like it's got some nutritional value. I don't think they'd put it in their hair, or maybe it's just decor that makes their hair red.
I researched that.
You know what I
and then
mean,
I'll
though,
get
right?
back to you. Yes.
Yeah. Have you ever done this research before?
Not in the pre-colonial period as much. Yeah. But in
go on. Sorry.
no, but in the recent times, yes. Maybe from 2010, I wanted to see the trend of the growth of hair from the locks to crochet. So that's what I did, but not before.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's also interesting because I think during colonialization, our hair was shaved, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which I think is quite a spiritual abomination from African culture perspective to do that, for someone else to come and shave your own hair without your permission.
Yeah.
And force you not to have hair, right? Because it's seen as proper these days for like office worker men to have short hair if they want to be proper, right?
And this started in the colonial era where it was okay to shave your hair. Before it wasn't. Before shaving your hair was if you've lost a loved one, or if you are, or in some Western cultures, I've even seen shaving their hair was like a sign of rebellion.
Yeah.
Against,
yeah. And then also like with the straightening of our hair, wanting to have perm. I think there's some, like I think in the 90s in Kenya, you couldn't work in a bank without permed hair. Had to be straight. Yeah. I mean, it's amazing. I think there's definitely a natural hair, dread, beard revival in the last like 5 years or whatever. But it's interesting how far away we are from what our hair used to mean. Anyway, so there's lots. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see, what South Africans, West Africans, the different dynamics across Africa as well with regard to hair. I know like Chad, the women have hair till their bums, and they use natural berries and things like that to make it long. But there's this myth that African people don't have long hair, but in Chad, everybody has long hair. And they're black.
From my research, I've seen different tribes had different ways of putting their hairstyle. So you could actually know who you're talking to
by their hair.
Yeah.
Wow. So it was an identity, really core to identity. Yeah. I mean, hair still is quite core to who we are. It's a big expression of who we are. That's fantastic. That's great. Who else wants to share? Before Rose picks you. You could volunteer before Rose picks you.
Oh, Virginia has her hand up. Thank you, Virginia. Go ahead and share your findings.
Hi, morning, everyone.
Good
morning.
So I did my research on cowrie shells and also leather. On the leather, I found out how that they used to tan different types of leather for different needs. So, for instance, for like the shields for going to war and such things, like they used to use wild animal leather because it's a bit harder and tougher. So for instance, like hippos and such like animals. But then again, crocodile hides and zebra hides were not used so much in the Kikuyu community because apparently they had some beliefs about them, about it not being right for them to use them. So that was very interesting. And then I found out also used to turn it 2 ways, the vegan way and also the was vegan and oil-based. So the vegan one, they would use roots and herbal roots that had like lumps. So then they would place lumps on top of the leather just to make it softer, to give it a pattern. And then for the oil one, they would use brain matter. For the animal, they'd melt the brain matter and some of the animal oil to apply it on the leather when it was tanning, just to make it a bit softer. And I also learned it was so interesting. Different levels, different layers of the leather was used for different things. So like, for instance, the enamel was kind of used sometimes for making fabric and also blankets because it's a bit softer. So that was very, very interesting. For instance, in the Kikuyu community, women used to add beads or cowrie shells on their skin just to make it prettier for their husbands. But cowrie shells, I found out that the trade started off in West Africa because
I think they
in
have a big spiritual meaning in West Africa. Like
yes,
they're used for a lot of spiritual rituals.
yes, and it was used kind of like an idol and also for trading, and they kind of used to the more cowrie shells you had, the more symbolized fertility and wealth. So like, for instance, the bump of the cowrie shell kind of represented a woman being pregnant, and then the curve, the inner part of the shell, we kind of used to look at it as the woman's genitalia, which is very, very interesting. And then so they used to even trade it with copper, so like pennies. One penny will give you 300 cowrie shells. So I want to find out how it got to Kenya and the rest of the African continent. So I've not yet finished on that research. So it's very interesting to see that it was adopted mostly because it was very available. It was readily available at the coast, but then people in the interior. So it was the demand came in from that interaction because of the scarcity of the cowrie shell. So, and then how it was adopted into the whole um, continent. But apparently, at some point, it was the what is it called? It was the only form of trade for the south, for
Mm.
the
So it was like a
western.
currency.
It was the first common currency for West Africa.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. That's fantastic. Luckily, we have more time until 2 p.m. to do more research. The more research, I think, the better all our ideas will be. So by now you've realized that we're fully in the research and development phase of the workshop. So, so we have more time to research it. Hold on a second. Yeah. I think we tried to explain this a lot, that we want to showcase ideas that have an African and sustainable slant. So what we're doing now is getting you to think outside of the box, and re-ideate your business idea with some African philosophy in mind. So yeah, are you getting it? Do you feel inspired?
Yeah, very much. So, for instance, I found out that Kikuyu community used to use castor oil just to make the leather more supple. So I've been trying to figure out how I can treat my own leather, just to not treating it, conditioning it to lengthen the lifespan of the bags, for instance. So I think I'll look more into how I can use castor oil to make like a leather conditioning for my bags, and probably even just sell the conditioner.
Yeah. Awesome. Check out other African countries as well, so we can just have as much diverse information as possible.
Yeah, sure.
So I think we have time for just one more share. Thank you so much, Virginia.
Just one more person to please
Yeah.
volunteer before I pick out somebody. Maybe, oh, Faith, I can see you've unmuted. Would you like to share?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
So when I was researching, I just realized that even when we were studying photography and photojournalism in college, when we were learning about where it came from and how it was, we were only learning about Edison's kinetoscope and how, basically what the Western aspects of photography. We never learned anything about when cameras came to the continent of Africa, who were the first photographers to use it, how it was in pre-colonial Africa. But then there's an aspect of photography where after you learn composition, you learn how to use your gear, which is now the most important thing, which is storytelling. And that Africans were already doing that even before the equipment. So it starts as our storytelling starts with visuals, what we hear from people painting in caves, and it goes now to people narrating stories. And these are the stories we photographers try to show with our images. So the stories which were used to resolve natural calamities, like our grandparents and basically our forefathers were passing these stories for us to learn lessons. They were using them to inform us, to educate us, to entertain us. It's the same thing that we learn in journalism school, that you're supposed to be a good storyteller. Your story is supposed to inform your audiences. It's supposed to educate them and entertain them. But now, when it comes to the stories we share in journalism, and I'm going to be talking about journalism a lot because that's where my foundation is at. And I do photography, but I also write. So you feel like our identity is lost even in journalism, because when you're trying to, for example, you're trying to look for costumes, the costumes that were used traditionally by in our communities. I will use Meru community, for example. When I go back and I ask people, where can I find this costume? Where do you know how these skirts are made? If I can use them on my subjects, you're told that no, you can't do that. That is voodoo. That's like equal associated with witchcraft and those things, because we were made to feel insecure about our identities, which were passed through our stories. So you realize that some of these stories, even that the ones that we know, they've incorporated Christianity in it. So it's made to look good, so that it doesn't
It's
annoy
disassociating from
Western
the
culture.
past.
Sorry?
It's disassociating from the past. It's been remixed.
Yeah. So even the photography we practice, when I'm studying people's works and I'm looking at mine, you feel like you're doing a good craft, but there's something that is not African enough. Like, and I want to admit I have been doing this research for a while, and this is something that informs the Diarist of African Tales, the stories that I want to tell. I want to make sure that we feel our identity in how we craft our artistry. So when I saw this assignment, I was excited to see it, because they were questions I've had, and I felt like I was not getting anywhere with it, because every time I go home and ask, for example, about the songs that my grandmother used to sing to us, you're told, no, those are voodoo songs. Those are songs that are used by people who practice witchcraft and those things. Yeah, so you're made to feel like you're
Antichrist.
you're searching and you're heading to a dead end. So
Yeah.
so photography in itself did not start here.
Yeah.
It's a Western phenomena, but the storytelling part, we had it, we were made to lose it, and now I feel like we're finding it. We're looking for it. We are actively
Yeah.
in this generation.
What would be interesting with storytelling is to figure out if there were special times for storytelling, like at the full moon or at night by the fire, or if there were special people who told the stories, you know, like with ages, or maybe there were spiritual elders that told stories. You know, when people were drawing art in caves, you know, what stories did they choose to tell? Were they war stories, love stories? Be interesting. So luckily we have more time. I just really wanted us to connect this morning so that we still, you know, doing this, ideally this should be done face to face. We should all be in a room for like 1 week or 2 weeks together. But since we're doing it online, I think it's quite nice for us to just catch up, touch base. And so when you're doing your research, you know, you're not the only one who's sacrificing your day on this. So please, all of you, just continue to diversify, deepen your research. Again, call people as well. And you know, to some extent, it can be, especially when you ask elder people from the village, they are a bit scared of talking about this because it's there was a message that anything before Jesus was bad, so that can be kind of tough. But you know, if we keep searching, we'll find the answers and we'll find the stories. And yeah, cool. So we'll be back here at 2 p.m.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. Yeah.
Get
So
to hear from a lot of us.
yeah, so we just continue with the same research. We'll log back in at 2 p.m. Today we have 2 more sessions from 2 to 2:30 and from 4 to 5 p.m. So we would love to hear from everyone else, but even from those who have shared first, thank you so much. And I can
Yeah,
tell
thank
that
you.
you still want to do more research and would love for you to take
Yeah,
the time to continue doing that research. It's very important for us to know where our art kind of started from and knowing the backstory. And I kind of feel like things that were adapted back then can still be considered to be applied now. And having that
yeah,
knowledge can really allow you to expand and consider other options or other things that you can implement within your craft. So let's reconvene
totally.
at 2 p.m. using the same Zoom
Yeah,
link as we continue to
yeah.
hear from more people and just hear what research you've been able to acquire. Okay? So thanks, guys,
Thank
for
you,
logging in.
guys.
We'll talk
See
then.
you at 2. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.